Hi, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Narawit Pongkijworasin. Today I'm going to present to you the future food regulations, pre-marketing vs post-marketing approach. How can we amend the law in order to increase the competitiveness inside the food industry? What kind of law we need to change? First, I will go for introductions. As you can see, nowadays, the future food trend and the shift in the consumer behavior just occur inside Thailand and the world. In recent years, there are the shift in consumer behavior toward the healthy lifestyle. According to Nielsen 2018, Nielsen is a renowned global leader of the marketing research company. 70% of the consumer shift their consuming patterns from normal food product to more healthy food product. They dare to spend more. They dare to pay more money in order to get what? In order to get the product that benefit to their life. Functional food and dietary supplement are two leading type of foods nowadays. These two types of food is innovative food that adapted the ST&I, science, technology, and innovation. This kind of technique just adding to the food, extract the nutrient, fuel it inside the food to make the normal food has more benefit to the health. Two types of food, innovative food that is healthy to customer emerged during this recent year. First is functional food. Functional food is what? Functional food is still in the form of food. For example, water is still water, vitamin is still vitamin, but you add some scientific technique to make the nutrient inside it more beneficial or more better to your health. For example, you may add a vitamin inside the water to make it more, benefit to your organ systems or your body. And second, the dietary supplementary is a special type of food that is mostly in the form of a capsule or like extract or like nutrient powder that you consume in order to benefit to your body system in some way. These two type of innovative foods grow a lot, gain more market share during these 4 or 5 years. This is a graph that show the growth of two type of food that I mentioned to you earlier. On the left-hand side, Thailand functional food market size increased from 26.1 billion baht to 69.5 billion baht in just 5 years. And for dietary supplements, the market size also increased a lot from 52 billion baht to 66 billion baht in just 5 years also. Not just the gain in consumer behavior or shift in consumer consuming patterns that support the growth of the innovative food like functional food and the dietary supplement. Also the government policy. The BCG plan, the plan that is implemented by the Ministry of Science. BCG stands for Bio, Circular and Green Economy. The plan that wants to lift up the GDP shares, GDP growth of four main industries: agricultural and food, energy and material, medical, and lastly, tourism. They would like to enhance the GDP share of these four sectors from 3.3 trillion to 4 trillion baht within 2566 in the next 3 years. Their strategy is to implement and adding on innovation, science, technology into this industry to make more innovative product that has more value added and more contribution to the GDP. Functional food and the dietary supplementary is the goal and the aim of the government inside the agriculture and food. It's the top of the food pyramid because it's enhanced and adapted all the raw material that's getting from the agriculture and make it to the more value-added product. As I said to you earlier, functional food and dietary supplements are the government first priority to develop the food industry. However, some food regulations that I just researched, I found that it hinders them from growing as they should. They can grow more, but these regulations bring too much burden to the producer and the entrepreneur, discourage the ability to invent a new innovation inside the food field. First, before going to regulation, I want to mention to you first that we now adapt what? In Thailand, we now adapt the pre-marketing surveillance system, like European group country. It is what? It's a system that entrepreneur who want to sell the new type of food or the innovative food has to pass the Thai FDA regulations and the surveillance system before selling the product. It means that before you selling some food, you have to ask for the permissions from the Thailand FDA first. If they just permit you, you can sell it. But if they don't permit you, you cannot say that. You cannot sell that, sorry. So the problem is that I found that too strict regulations and food safety evaluations is an obstacle for the growth of the functional food and dietary supplement sector. There's two kind of law, two kind of secondary legislations that we will deal with in this presentation. First is the Health Ministry Declarations number 376, the Novel Food Assessment and Food Safety Evaluation Law. And also second, the health claim assessment, which is a process that the entrepreneur has to do if they want to advertise the product. It is empowered by the Section 6, 40, 41 of the 2022 Food Act. The producer who want to sell functional food and dietary supplements has to pass these two laws before selling the food. However, these two laws incur lots of time and high cost to fulfill the requirement and make and contribute the high opportunity cost to the producer. Sorry. Regulation detail. How these two laws hinder the growth inside the food sector. Let me explain to you. Firstly, I want to thanks the source of information that I get it. First, the main regulation source I got it from the entrepreneur checklist from Food Bureau Thai FDA. I also made interviews to 3 people here. First, Ms. Anong Phaichit Papakon, the president of Thailand Food Institutions. Second, Mr. Chalat Santiphalankana, the president of Food Center Mahidol University. And lastly, Mr. Tirapong Chansili, the president of Thai Union Company. First, let's go to our first regulations that hinder the growth of the innovative food sector. First is called, it's a law called Novel Food and Food Safety Assessment. You know, every kind of innovative food like functional food and dietary supplement that adapted the new type of ingredients. What is the new type of ingredients or novel food in this context? It's a food that has a history of consuming below 15 years. If you just use an ingredient that has the history of consuming below 15 years, you have to send the consuming history and also the safety evaluations, the poison evaluations, preclinical and after clinical trial to the Thailand FDA. If the Thailand FDA just gives you permissions, you can adapt that ingredients. But if not, you cannot do that. The problem is not you have to submit the information. But the problem is that this process take a very long time. If you just go to the declarations of the government, you will find that this process, novel food and safety assessment process that approve the new type of ingredient that you use in the food, take over 200 days, which is a lot, right? And it costs a lot. You have to pay the fee to the FDA about 70,000 baht. Imagine you are an entrepreneur. You have to wait for your ingredient to be approved for like 300 days. It's a lot. It just incur the high opportunity cost. Some ingredients has the history of consuming like 10 years, but not over 15 years. You have to pass this long process. Even the consuming history is already 10 years. I also got other pain points about this law from the interviewers that I just made interview with. First is that this kind of process just need what we call the food consumption survey. You have to submit the food consumption patterns that this ingredient has, how long history that the consumer inside Thailand consume it. However, the database of the government is not appropriate. The food consuming database is not updated. So it's very hard for an entrepreneur to get that information. So the process of permissions take longer because the entrepreneur has to go to the lab and then just do the whole evaluation process by themselves because poor database system. This is the first law that the entrepreneur need to pass if they want to sell innovative food. Second law that is also painful is health claim assessment. In order to advertise the features or the quality of the product, the entrepreneur has to pass what we call the health claim assessment. They have to send the information of the food, the nutrient proof, to the Thai FDA, and it take the time of permissions for over 106 days. A long time, right? The cost is not high, but the time is long. If you just want to make the new advertisement, like a new production of the advertisement, you just launch advertisement A on December. You have to ask for permissions. If you want to change the quality inside the advertisement, you have to submit the permission form again. The process needs to be done redundantly in order to asking the FDA for just advertising. Pain point is that every time wanting to change advertisement type or the advertisement detail, you have to ask FDA every time. You see it, right? It takes very long time, also like the novel food. So when you combine two process together, just the two process for asking the permissions of using the ingredients, the new ingredients, or um, asking for you for adapting the advertisement, or using this type of advertisement, the entrepreneur need to spend more than 300 days. This still not count the process of establishment of factory that you have to talk with FDA also, or the process production. Just the process of permissions, 300 days plus is a lot, right? So it's incur very high opportunity cost and discourage innovative food business to invent a new type of food because it's very painful to ask for the permissions to sell that kind of food. Solution, I just reading lots of literature, and I just found the laws of foreign country, and I just found the solutions that I want to propose to you today. The solution of this system, of this regulation, is that Thailand has to adapt not the pre-marketing but a new system called the post-marketing process, or PMP. It's a framework that adapted in United States and Canada FDA. So the entrepreneur can sell the product first without the permissions. But the entrepreneur has to update the safety evaluation and safety information after consuming of the consumer who buy all the time back to the FDA. So it will not be pre-permission anymore, but instead the post-permissions. The FDA will check whether after the consumer consume your food, that will they just getting affected. If not, you can file, you can still continue selling that. But if not, the consumer can sue you for the compensation. This is a system that is enhance the ability to invent more food because the entrepreneur and the producer has don't have to pass the painful checking process like before. So I found that this kind of system, post-marketing system, does not just reduce the burden on entrepreneur, but also increase the level of innovations introduced inside Thailand. The pros and cons of this system. Every system, everything has a pros and cons. I want to propose to you what's the pros and cons of this new solution, post-marketing system. Pros and cons is that comparing to pre-marketing has a pro that there will be less level of severe food poisonous or dangerous to the health cases. Not so many suits or legal cases because the FDA just scanned that product before, asked for the permission before. The con is that it contributes to the huge burden to the entrepreneur and producer. And for the post-marketing, the new system that we just introduced, the pro is that more innovation will be invented, less economic burden to the entrepreneur, but that's also the cons. Consumer and food industry may have to rely more on the suing process because if the product is not good, there's no scan before by the FDA, the consumer has to sue the producer by themselves. So it will have more burdens to the regulation system or the judicial system inside Thailand. My choice, I will choose what? I will not choose that totally post-marketing system, and I will not choose that totally pre-marketing system. But what I will choose is a mixture between post and pre-marketing. I found that we could strict with the checklist or the criteria that is so severe to the customer. For example, if the that substance consumed and consumer can die, we have to be strict with that. But some components for the permission that is non-serious, like the health claim that is approved for the advertisement, the FDA can skip that and then just adapting post-marketing system. To sum up, my choice is that we can use a mixture between post and pre-marketing. For not serious things, we can adapt post-marketing system like advertisement. We don't have to be serious that much, but if there's problem, the consumer can sue. But for the serious case, like the poisonous, food poisonous, immediately poisonous, or like chronic poisonous, the FDA can be strict with that. By using the mixture system, we can both protect the customer and reduce the burdens that has by the entrepreneur. This is my solution today. Thank you so much for listening. To recap, today I just present to you the problems about the current food regulations that control the innovative food sector, the pre-marketing system that need entrepreneur to send the permissions, to ask for the permissions from the FDA before selling the innovative product. And that permissions process is very painful and take a long time. So my solution is that we have to adapt partly the post-marketing system, which is a system that entrepreneur can sell the product first without asking for the permissions. And if there's problem, the consumer can sue the producer. We can use the mixture between post and pre-marketing. For the easy stop or the non-serious checklist, we can use the post-marketing system. But for the serious one, we can adapt pre-marketing system. This system, this mixture system that I propose to you can reduce the burdens of the entrepreneur and the producer while protecting the consumer well. Thank you so much for listening, Ajahn Munin, and here's my video today. Thank you for watching.